Okay gamers, you clicked on the video, you know what it is about, so let's get right into it, okay? That's your intro. Obviously, major spoilers ahead. So, we start off with a cryptic message from Augustine Lieber.
I am Augustine Lieber.
Who basically says, yo, I'm about to summon the entity here because I have a lot of free time. Can't wait for her bad guy speech later.
Suffice it to say, one cannot make a proverbial omelette without breaking the proverbial eggs.
In the very next scene, we are introduced to the second bad guy of the game, Frank Stone himself, prepping for a ritual. Unfortunately for him, Detective Sam is on the case, looking for a missing infant. He's about to investigate the meal after talking to the coolest character of the entire game, Tom.
Someone's been faking the entries.
No. Who?
I'm guessing you, Tom.
Me?
Alcohol does tend to impair the memory.
That what you come out here for? To give a veteran a hard time about his medicinal practices?
Unfortunately, Tom is here only for the prologue, so you don't have to remember him. Immediately, the first problem becomes apparent. Bruh. Every single scene starts with a stutter, delay, 0 frames, and absolutely unacceptable performance for a freaking movie. Unlucky for Sam, the gate spawns right in front of him. Yeah, that happens. But it's open, so we can proceed. Eventually, Sam finds human remains and tampers with as much evidence as possible. Wow, yeah, touch it. Lick it and sniff it. Stop touching it! Yikes! So Sam does the only thing that any sane person would do in his place. He trusts Tom with evidence, and then he goes down the drain or canal. I don't really know how to call this place, but eventually he finds his way to the red chamber, and we all know that red means evil. There he fights Frank Stone, gets impaled through the shoulder, cause Dead by Daylight reference obviously, and then it doesn't matter if he wins or loses, because choices matter in a choice-based game. I mean, what did you expect from Supermassive, come on. Okay, so that's how the events of 1963 end, and from this point on I won't be just retelling the events. Instead, I'll distill it a little bit and tell you events in chronological order, so it would be easier for you to keep track of. Now, we proceed to year 1980, so 17 years later, and we get introduced to 3 teens who are trying to film their movie. We have Linda, the a little bit dead one.
Okay.
Chris, the impulsive, unstable, and kind of toxic one that constantly looks cursed for some reason, but whatever. And Jaime, the Labrador boyfriend one. They sneak into the meal that's been constantly patrolled by Sam, by the way, the same Sam, yes, from Prologue, and apparently are almost done filming their thing.
We've got a movie to finish.
Camera breaks, Sam catches them, forbids them to return to the meal.
You can't shoot a movie in here.
You would think that they can't finish their movie, but they're almost done, remember? So they decide to replace the camera and go back. And apparently in their small city, there are only 2 places where you can do that. A shop of curiosities and, I'll let you guess. You guessed it, the drugstore.
I'm not sure the drugstore clerk will even know how to fix it.
Eventually they get to the curiosity store. They encounter a creepy lady that sells them an old camera for $10.
$10.
Let's pause here. I did a little research, and by little research I meant I googled it once. And I found out that in 1980s, cameras like this cost around $1,500. There was even a person who stated the exact price, which was $700 that they paid for a camera. It doesn't add up. But you know what? Whatever. It makes this purchase just sus, you know? Very, very sus. The only question is, why aren't they sus about it? They also get help from a friend, Robert, who's a huge horror fan.
Didn't know you were a horror guy. Just books?
So he really wants to help them finish their movie.
I would love to be involved.
And also, coincidentally, he is Sam's son, meaning he knows his patrol routines and stuff like that.
I can get you back into the mill without him knowing.
making him a very helpful ally. Now, our characters have a camera and then they prep. They make a research to find out what a library is.
Did you know you can get like every newspaper article ever written at the library? It's insane!
I'm just joking. They find more information on Frank Stone to know where to finish filming their movie.
Machine shop.
Bullseye!
Machine shop, huh?
Now that they are ready, they venture at night to sneak into the mill once again. On the way, they are constantly standing around motionless, looking in the distance, probably communing with all types of demons, just like your cat has. And we get presented with a choice in a choice-based game, and it doesn't matter. In the mill, nothing really important happens except for Jaime's sister spooking them and joining them for whatever reason. Maybe she has nothing better to do. Jaime's sister, there she is. Her name is Bonnie. She is a pretty important character, unlike Tom. So I want you to dedicate a whole one brain cell to remember this name, okay? Bonnie, remember it. The team finishes their filming.
But we finished the movie. It's in the can.
We should keep exploring this place while we still can.
They go looking for the machine room.
This is the machine shop.
Frank Stone used to work there, so this is an important place for them.
The freight transfer system, said Frank Stone.
Soon enough, we get presented for the first time with a Dead by Daylight generator. Because gen repairing, obviously and clearly, is the most fun part of Dead by Daylight. I'm being sarcastic. Still, there is another question. A whatever-year-old Jaime, an amateur actor, is also suddenly an engineer.
I can get it working. Just need to scrounge up a few parts and it'll be good as new.
Anyway, the gen is working, the keys collected, the cards open, they sneak into another one that's suspended and discover Frank Stone's lair that was never checked by the police 17 years ago. So, as it tends to happen with crime scenes, they find crime evidence. Get freaked out, panic,
But this whole place is part of an actual murder case now.
run away. But not before Chris takes a footage of an actual human decapitated arm with her cursed camera. And that makes Stone's spirit awaken and come back to life. Chris gets sucked by a wormhole somewhere, and we really don't know where until later, but spoiler alert, well, I mean, everything is a spoiler here. She gets teleported in the year 2024. Jaime can confront at this point Frank Stone and either survive and let Chris stay, or run away, or get unalived. Brutally. It's a brutal freaking scene, okay? It's a pretty cool scene. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what happens to Jaime, because it doesn't affect any future events at all, because your choices matter in a choice-based game. The only important thing that we get from this scene is that Frank Stone can cut a person in pieces by touching them lightly, which is a detail I want you to keep in mind, okay? So we have one brain cell remembering the name Bonnie, and another brain cell remembering that Frank Stone can unalive people by touching them. And Linda and Bonnie are chilling outside while Frank Stone is hunting the place. Eventually Linda goes looking for her friends, finds camera, and accidentally realizes that she can fight him by filming him, because apparently he's a shy boy. Long story short, and a couple scenes of Fatal Frame later, Robert gets his dad Sam, and Sam is ready to save the day again.
Those kids and their damn movie.
He finds Linda, and remember that brain cell dedicated to remembering Frank Stone's almighty power? Well, Linda survived no problem, even without the camera. I mean, she had it, and now she doesn't have it, because obviously Sam has it, and she survived without the camera. Apparently it's not such a big deal for her. Important characters just don't die. Sorry, Jaime, you weren't important enough. Sam faces Frank Stone, catches him in the film footage, and traps him there for good this time. After this, they have a footage in which Frank Stone is trapped, so they have their movie finished, and they have this additional scene. So they divide this additional scene in 3 parts, and decide to keep it separate. So one part is kept by Robert, one part is kept by Jaime and his sister Bonnie. Remember, a brain cell dedicated to Bonnie. And one part is kept by Linda. They decide to do that because destroying it might release Frank Stone. They don't want to take a chance. So that's their solution, which is, you know, pretty nice. Now we are done with 1980s and we dive in 2024 and get presented with a whole new set of characters. Maddie, because she's a bit mad. Get it? I'm just joking. She's a bit of an ADHD girl.
I'm not sure.
Oh, doorbell.
And we have Linda. Yeah, it's the same Linda, though it's more of a same-ish Linda. But I'll explain this later. And then we have Stan, conspiracy theorist and also liar. They get invited to visit a mansion, and soon it's revealed they all are offered to sell their parts of the movie. Yes, they all have a part of a movie. Stan stole his part from Robert. Maddie got it from Bonnie. It's her mother, okay? Remember that brain cell that was dedicated to remembering the name Bonnie? There it is. You don't have to remember it anymore. And Linda, well, just has hers. And this is the moment when we reach the biggest plot hole in the entire game, in my humble opinion. So, later it will be explained that the whole idea of bringing the Frank Stone back in 2024 revolves around collecting the most perfect parts from different parallel universes. Yes, we are going there.
Okay, that is not what we shot.
So, this Linda we are looking at in 2024 is Linda who exists in a timeline that's slightly different from the timeline that we have seen in 1980s. So these Lindas are existing in different parallel realities.
No, that's not what happened. That never happened. Never.
I think they did that to explain all possible plot holes that they might have missed. But it doesn't work because of a simple fact that Linda owns her part of the film. Let's just put it simply. Linda owns a part of the movie. That means there was a decision to split that movie. Which means they did encounter Frank Stone, they saw his ghost, they fought him, they filmed him, all of that happened. So Linda kind of knows all the same things, goes through this traumatic event, decides to save the world by keeping Frank Stone trapped in the movie, separating the movie, and 44 years later comes to a creepy mansion, sees all three parts of the movie, and it doesn't ring any bells? No red flags, no questions. What? Either I'm really stupid and you have to explain to me in the comments what I'm not picking up, or they did not think it's true. Like, this doesn't make any sense to me. But let's keep going. Augustine steals all the parts and assembles them.
If she's had all the pieces of the film this whole time, why does she keep us here?
In the meantime, the characters explore the mansion and find lots of DPD references. But what's more important, they find time traveling Sam. Yes, time traveling Sam, of course.
Sheriff Green.
And here we see that Linda apparently doesn't remember.
You really think it's actually cursed? That's not real.
It does make sense. Maddie finds Augustine's kinky basement and a magical device.
Okay, we're cooking now.
This is when we realized where Chris went when she got sucked into that wormhole. Linda finds some lore about parallel timelines, which that was a pretty cool moment, not gonna lie.
A screening of the film Murder Mill? Wait, this screening never happened.
Doesn't matter what happened, characters Linda, Sam, Stan, Maddie, and possibly Chris end up in a class square where they're forced to watch the assembled movie that summons Frank Stone yet again. And then we have to fight Frank Stone. But this time, Behaviour really did clearly nerf him, because he cannot slice people in pieces by touching them lightly anymore. Then Chris pops up to say hi, for a second because they forgot to remove her. I mean, in my playthrough, she got back to 1980s, but here she is! You get a couple of choices that determine whether a character lives or unlives, but they do not really matter. And then we get a couple of final chase scenes. Again, doesn't matter what happens. Frank ends up looking at the sky with Augustine, and she's pretty romantic until she cannot shut the heck up, so Frank literally goes,
Shut your mouth! I'm listening to music!
Then all the characters that can possibly be in 2024 and survive, so it's Maddie, Linda, Chris and Sam, whoever lived, end up at the campfire, which is the biggest DBD reference. And that basically explains that Augustine summoned the entity to our world now, and as a worldwide consequence, from 0 up to 4 people get to play an infinite game of Dead by Daylight. Sure. Remember, I kept saying that it doesn't matter what choice you make, because it doesn't. It really doesn't. You still end up this campfire scene, you still end up with the same ending. The characters either DIE or DIE, but in a more metaphorical sense. Classical Supermassive. I'm so mad. You know that there is at least one good choice-based game here. And then there's Supermassive. I really want the choices to affect something, like affect the world, affect the ending. It's not unheard of. I think if you claim to be a choose-your-own-adventure game, you have to see different scenes based on your choice, end up in different places, the world to be affected in different ways, but none of that happens. It's supposed to be butterfly effect, not straight line with different dialogues effect. Supermassive says they make games where your choices matter, but instead they make a game how many characters can you keep alive, and they possibly don't even exist. It's not choose your own adventure, it's the same hacking adventure, same one. It makes me so mad. Imagine if saving the baby at the very start in 1963 would end up in either Sam being a hero in 1980s and characters filming their movie at the meal, which is what we experience in the game, or failing to save the baby would result in the meal being bulldozed completely and the theater being built there, and characters now filming their movie at the theater, which would make Linda's discovery near the end all the more important. But yeah, it takes effort, and instead we get Supermassive cash grabs. It's unrealistic expectation from Supermassive at this point to make a good choice-based game. They just make up 7-hour-long movies. So I really don't want to annoy you with my rant any longer. The game ends with a final plot twist of Augustine surviving by time traveling and universe switching. The end. So let's rate this experience. Voice acting, 2 out of 2. Voice actors did try and sound believable, it's not their fault. The characters sometimes look cursed. They did all they could. I enjoyed their performance. Next, story, 1 out of 2. Honestly, if I were given a task to write a story about a monster, but it should be parallel universes and time travel and DBD related, and also there should be some choices that affect dialogue options, and also an option to unalive a character or two, and also we don't have much time and we want to make another cash grab. Taking all that into account, writers did a pretty good job so far. Visuals, 1 out of 2. Environments are pretty cool most of the time. Face animations are cursed, characters are genuinely cursed. I mean, that's a classic Supermassive again. Bonus point for a cool monster design and idea. It's the same monster, but it's different in 1963, 1918, and 2024. It's different each time, but it's the same entity. I love it, I love the idea. The last version of him is pretty scary. Definitely deserves a bonus point for visuals. Performance, 0 out of 2. Constant stutters at the start of each freaking scene. Overall performance is the main reason people dislike their experience. My personal adjustments, I have 3 points, and each one can add a point or deduct a point from overall rating. Let's go. -1 for forcing achievement hunters to spend, I'm gonna look how much, 40 hours playing this game, reliving the same scenes, not being able to skip dialogues you've already seen to get the last achievement. That's so Supermassive, but it's so horrendous. That's literally such a scummy thing to do. -1 for, well, choices not affecting anything, even though you really market yourself as a game where you can choose your own adventure, yet it's the same hacking adventure. Horrendous. All in all, we got 2, 1, 1, 1, then -2. Overall, 3 out of 10. That's my final rating. At the end of the day, it is up to you whether to play it or not, and the choice is yours. And this choice actually, imagine, it actually matters. So go get to gaming, preferably something else already, gamers. And thank you so much for watching.